Throughout his career, Christopher Nolan has directed some incredible sequences. With Tenet, he pushed the visual language of action set pieces by blending forward and reverse motion. But the real lesson we can take away from the Tenet airport fight is a matter of perspective. How did Nolan and his team create two versions of the same fight from two different points of view? Welcome to the Director's Playbook. If you want to get more of these videos on blocking and staging, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay in the loop. This is your spoiler warning for Tenet. Let's get inverted. Without getting too deep into the plot and the rules of time inversion, all we need to know is that the protagonist has an encounter with a mystery combatant who turns out to be his future self. Later, we see the same fight with the roles reversed, and in each scene, we view the fight from a different perspective. Perspective is important because it is how our connection and empathy for the characters are created. We are meant to see what they see and understand how they feel about it. In a chaotic scene such as this, we could easily lose that connection, leaving us with empty action and no investment in the outcome. So how does Nolan establish unique perspectives between the fights? Let's review these elements, starting with composition and framing. Using very basic and simplified composition rules, we tend to reserve the center of the frame for the most important element in a shot. This is especially true during action scenes, so we can remain focused despite the rapid movement and editing. In both fights, the blocking is constantly changing. But there are specific moments where the subject is purposefully center-framed. Consider this moment in Fight 1. And the equivalent shot from Fight 2. It's the same moment, but each version aligns us with a slightly different perspective. Along with the framing, Nolan also uses different coverage for each fight. In moments like this, the camera is positioned on the opposite side of the 180-degree line established in Fight 1. These angle changes help make it seem like a different fight, allowing the audience to be more receptive to a different perspective. This is how you can use the camera to inform perspective. Now let's talk about how editing plays a similar role. Tenet's editor, Jennifer Lane, helps push this idea of perspective. While many of the shots in both fights are two shots, there are also moments when we cut to singles of the primary subject. These brief shots help tip the scales of perspective toward the intended subject. Let's look at this moment in the hallway. In both fights, we get dirty singles on the primary subject as the suit throws punches, and as a soldier defends against them. By cutting to more individualized shots, we can more easily connect with the subject in that moment. But switching between two shots and singles is just the beginning. Nolan goes a step further by adding in POV and reaction shots as well. The combination of a POV shot with a reaction shot are used to help guide the fight's progression. The best examples of this comes here. In Fight 1, we get POV and reaction shots from the suit as the gun and cartridge invert towards them. During the same relative moment in Fight 2, the soldier looks to the other room, waiting for his double. And then again, as he escapes into the turnstile. Though brief, these moments give the audience a concrete perspective. If these subtle compositions and shot types weren't enough, Nolan adds a new layer of perspective. While the visuals provide most of the information, the sound design is working just as hard to align us with a certain character's perspective. If we listen to Fight 1, we can hear a more objective approach to the sound design. We hear it as if we were also in the room. The turnstile humming, assembling the gun, the inverted bullet strikes. And most of the vocalization we hear comes from the suit, his grunts and groans. Now, let's listen to Fight 2, which is decidedly more subjective. We don't hear the scene as if we were there. We hear it through the soldier's ears. The muffled dialogue, the compressed air of his gas mask. And his vocalization when stabbed. These subtle sound and image choices help reinforce the idea of perspective. None of these techniques are very obvious, and they wouldn't be as effective if used individually. In combination, we are given two distinct perspectives to the same fight. We rarely see two identical scenes presented this way. But the lesson still stands. When you're shooting and editing any scene, think about perspective.
We should do this again sometime.
What other fight scenes handle perspective like this? Tell us in the comments. Use StudioBinder to shot list and storyboard for your own perspective. The link is in the description. Subscribe and join us for future videos. Or are they from the past?